Bonjour and welcome to chez-nicolas. This is the soupe à l'oignon video recipe. The soupe à l'oignon is a very traditional French dish. Inexpensive, very easy to make and yet absolutely magical for cozy evenings. So, let's unpack the bag that you will receive. In it, you will find some garlic, some butter, some beef stock for the bouillon, some herbs, thyme and bay leaves, some French Gruyere, of course the onions, a baguette, and a little bit of brown sugar in case you don't have it at home. Stay with me? Perfect. Let's chop some onions. But first, you're gonna need a sharp knife. This is called a butcher's knife. A perfect soupe à l'oignon consists of 5 steps. Don't worry, they're very, very simple. The first one is called étuver. It is the softening of the onion. Then we're going to brown our onions to give them more flavor. That step is called roussir. Thirdly, we're going to simmer our onions with the stock. Then, the fourth step is optional, but in traditional way you want to do it. We're going to simmer once again our stock, the onions, the herbs, in the oven at 160 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes. And finally, we're going to gratiner our bread and our cheese with the broiler function of your oven. So, for the first step, the étuver, we're going to add a little bit of cooking oil, 30 grams of butter, and when the butter is well melted, we're gonna add our onions and cook them very slowly for about 20 minutes at low temperature. And we are only gonna need to stir them every 5 minutes or so, and we will cover them, which is the étuver part. It is very important that the heat is low so that they don't color very much. So, for the first step, that is the étuver, is the softening of the onions. We're going to cook them very slowly at low temperature for about 20 minutes. Make sure that you coat them well in butter. All that is needed to do now is to stir them every 5 minutes and cook them à l'étuver, which means covered. So, while we are softening our onions, we're going to warm up our bouillon, which will consist of 350 milliliters of beef stock and 150 milliliters of water. So, our onions are nearly there, and the next step will be the browning of those onions. This one, next step, is a little bit more intensive. So, while you still have a little bit of time, I suggest you relax and enjoy some wine. Cheers. Still at very low temperature, we're gonna do our last 5 minutes of softening without the cover to get most of the liquid to evaporate. So now we are going to brown our onion. This is the step in French called roussir. For this, we are gonna need a tablespoon of sugar. This will help with the caramelization of those onions, and just a little bit of sea salt for taste. And we are going to stir those constantly for 15 minutes or just until they're well brown. So, now that our onions have been well brown for 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to add our stock and our herbs. First we're going to add half the stock, like this. Stir well to get all the suc from the bottom of the pan. There, like this. The good bits are in the bottom of the pan, always. The second half for bouillon goes. And our herbs. Bouquet garni is herbs in French, and it's thyme and bay leaves. Put that in there. A little bit of salt. Yeah. This step is optional, but me and Julia should agree on this one. There goes half a glass of white wine. There. So, we're going to raise the temperature just a little bit. And we are going to slowly cook our bouillon for 30 minutes. This is important. It never boils. It doesn't need to boil. You don't want to lose any liquid. You simply want to melt all the flavor together at low temperature for 30 minutes. But now we're going to prepare our crouton. Crouton is just a fancy word for toasted bread. Put a little butter in the pan. Let it melt. And we're going to cut 4 slices, 2 per person, like this. 3 minutes on each side. 2 minutes maybe. So, our soup has now been simmering for 30 minutes, and we're going to grate some cheese. Our soup is almost ready. We're going to put it in our oven ready pot. Like that. We're gonna add 1 good pinch of cheese in it. It will create a beautiful texture. 1 garlic clove, or 2 small garlic cloves. Smash them. Put it in your soup. Mix all this gently. Place your crouton on top of the soup, like this, and cover completely the crouton and the soup with cheese. This is the gratiné part. So this is just for me, but you can do it as well. I like to melt a little bit of butter and pour it on my bread and my cheese. And now we're going to put our soup in the oven at 160 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Our soup has been in the oven for 20 minutes and it's starting to melt. So we are simply gonna turn our oven to the broiler function and leave it there for 2 minutes maybe until the cheese is well browned. Well, it looks like we are almost there. And by almost, I mean we are actually there. In the broiler for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And now, would you look at this? Voila, a traditional soupe à l'oignon. And now you can serve it directly into individual bowl or eat it with your loved one directly from the pot. Cheers and bon appétit!